So today, Ian Driver has come down to meet and have a little chat with me about the upcoming election. And of course, I'm going to be asking him questions about the environment because that's what I'm into, believe it or not. So Ian, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've lived in Thanet for nearly 19 years now. It seems like a lot longer than that, in a good way, of course. And in my time here, I've been a local councillor, 2011 to 15. And I also used to manage the Thanet Citizens Advice Bureau, which I've got to say really opened my mind about poverty and people on hard times. So I've always wanted to do things to do with the community and to do with improving people's lots in life, really.
Yeah, I see. And you're standing for KCC and Thanet Council. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
I'm doing a bit of a double act, but a lot of other people are too. But, there's a reason, which is going to be really boring actually, but we're going through a fantastic period of democratic change, biggest democratic change in 50 years, when KCC is going to get abolished, Thanet District Council is going to get abolished and transformed into a unitary with 4 or 5 other authorities. And I want to be involved in the discussions both at KCC level and at Thanet District Council level.
I see.
In making sure, if I possibly can, that those transitions to new forms of local government in Kent are democratic. And at the moment, I don't think they will be. I've got really big worries about what the new councils are going to be like, and I want to be there to argue for maintaining the number of councillors, so there still is a link between politicians and where they live, and I'm also looking at arguing for proportional representation for the new authorities, because we've got to have a better way of electing our politicians. And you've only got to look at Thanet, and I'm not picking on her, but Polly Billington, the MP for Thanet East, was elected on a minority vote.
Right, okay.
The votes were split in many different directions. She crept in the middle on a minority vote. And really, we can't be doing politics like that anymore.
No,
we need more representative forms of politics.
Because I feel like that. I obviously, my main thing is the environment, and I want to speak to people that know the environment. I want to speak to people that know what I'm talking about and where I'm talking about. And you know, in Thanet, we know we're short on trees. We know where our green spaces are. We know how important the few street trees we've got left are, because we're local, we're relatable, it's people you know. And you've been doing stuff for a long time. And what I like about you is you're not afraid to stand up and let people know what you think. And I always think that because I do the same thing sometimes. And you haven't got to necessarily always agree with someone, but good on them for standing up and saying what they think and digging stuff out. And what I quite like about what you do as well is you sort of, with the problems, you often really dig into it. And quite often when you dig into something, you follow where the money goes, and that's where the problem is. And you've done that a lot of the times with Thanet District Council. And you've called out where our taxpayers' money has been getting misused, wasted, and fed into corruption. So that's important. So good on you, and kudos for you know, researching and shouting up and standing up and power to the people. So
exactly, and many thanks.
I know. So farmland is something you're quite keen on, and of course, as an environmentalist, farmland is something I'm interested in too. You know, there's a lot of I kind of feel that you have farmers, and then you have farmers that lean towards being landowners. And you've got farmers who just want the money and are happy to sell up. A minority of them. But it's like in everything. And then you've got the farmers who just want to be farmers. And I want them farmers to be supportive to farm forever. And that very often means regeneratively. And it means, in my opinion, nature-friendly farming. I want to see greener farms, I want to see less chemicals, I want to see better spaces, and I want to see it farmed forever. And all I keep seeing in Thanet is build, build, build. It's just never ending, and I feel like I get around quite a bit, and I think sometimes many people don't get out enough to realise how bad it really is in Thanet.
It is.
And we have got 789 long-term empty properties, 2,092 second homes, and 1,929 Airbnbs.
Yep.
And this is a recent study from Action on Empty Homes.
Yep.
And yet we keep building and building and building.
We do.
And what we build, I'm not happy with what we build. We build utter rubbish houses. I'm not necessarily talking about the quality of the build. I'm talking about the access to green space.
Yeah.
It's just not fair. So our farmland needs protecting. It really does. What is left. And that's something you're really passionate about.
It is, and I just look back, 19 years ago when we first moved here, and the landscape of Thanet has changed beyond recognition. You go to Roundhane Road or other parts of the area, and what used to be open fields now is hundreds, if not thousands of houses, and they're still going up. I came down to see you today, and they're still at it.
Yeah, that's it.
And one wonders, when will it stop?
Yeah.
And what's concerned me, and I've been reading a little bit about it recently, and it has made me start thinking, is the whole question of food security.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've been reading a few things and using my common sense, which is a bit rare for me. And it's it's clear what's happening in the world. You've got more wars than there ever used to be, which are disruptive of agriculture. You've got the cost of living increasing around the world, which again is having an impact on food production and the cost of food. Then you've got, of course, climate change. Which is decimating farmland across the globe.
Yeah, we've manufactured these crops because a lot of our crops are man-made crops.
Yes,
they're not natural things.
Yeah.
We've made them for a certain climate, and as that climate changes, they're not coping with drought.
That's
they're not coping with floods.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. I mean, if you project this forward and look at what's happening in the world, and it's probably not going to change for a long time, then the land on which we grow our food is slowly going to run out.
Yeah, we need it.
And I just think of Thanet as one little example, but you can multiply it millions of times across our country, across Europe and other places in the world. And you can just see there's a huge land grab going on.
Yeah, that's it. That's what's happening, land grabbing. Absolutely. And what I feel about Thanet is it's mostly agriculture. There's not much livestock farming. And agriculture is by far the most efficient process. Let's grow the food and eat that food. We're not getting livestock involved because we're growing foods. Calorie-wise, that's a lot more inefficient than just eating what grows.
Absolutely,
So therefore, the food security that Thanet supports is massive because it's agriculture. We think we're like 48% self-sufficient in this country when it comes to food. And for example, we export 85% of our lamb.
Oh yeah, it's madness. It's madness.
Yeah. So
I mean, I've read some interesting things, and I think it's a campaign for the campaign to protect rural England. Which is an organisation which does some fantastic research. And they calculated that over the past 10 years or so, I think about 300,000 or 400,000 hectares of farmland, what was farmland, has been turned into housing. And they're saying that in actual fact, there's absolutely no need to build on farmland. Because the country has got what's called brownfield sites, which is previously developed land, to build on them all the housing we need. And I know in Thanet that's certainly the case. I was looking at some figures just yesterday, and Thanet Council has what's called a brownfield site register.
Right.
And that's all the previously used land that is currently not being used for anything, whether it's owned by the council or whether it's privately owned. And if I get my figures right, I think that there is 5,000 hectares of brownfield site land identified by Thanet Council in 2024. The government figures say that on 1 hectare you can build 35 houses.
Right.
So my calculations, if they're not wrong, if all of the brownfield site land was used in Thanet to build the houses, then that would be 21,000 extra houses.
Wow.
Which, we've got housing targets, but that would easily meet the targets that we've got, but instead they're going around to Moncton, they're going around to other parts of the country, Birchington, Moncton, Minster, and grabbing the farmland. And there is no reason. It really does make me annoyed.
We've got to try and get a hold in it because nothing's coping. And I find because sometimes brownfield sites are actually really good for nature because they're little forgotten pockets, like Leyland Gap School. They're little pockets that nature has got a hold of. So sometimes I love brownfield because that's often where the nature is. But what I feel like is happening in Thanet is giant greedy housing developments to make offshore investors really rich happen on farmland, and then luxury homes happen on brownfield.
That's absolutely
that seems to be what happens. And business homes, executive homes by the sea.
I've got to agree with you. It certainly is the case.
And what we build, I feel we could build. Why haven't we got any more high-rise buildings? It's because it doesn't turn around enough profit for investors. I want flats with allotments. So the people have a community, they can get out in the green space, grow their own food, socialise, have friends and family, and flats. But we build matchbox houses with tiny little gardens, with high fences, and everyone is isolated. Because that format makes the most money for the developers. So I think we really need to kind of.
I think you're right, Nick. I mean, we need to review how we live.
I mean,
and better ways of doing it. You know, like you say, flats, high rise, as opposed to big mansions. On farmland.
But we really can get a grip on building on farmland. I feel like it's happening here because we're an easy target and it's making people money, and we're losing our farmland like mad.
We can and we can. It really is a tricky position. Farmland does enjoy some protection under planning rules, but the what's called the National Planning Policy Framework is what governs what gets built where. And that was changed by the new Labour government in February of this year, not long ago. And it was changed in such a way, the wording was changed quite cleverly and legalistically to mean that the protection enjoyed by farmland is not as strong as it used to be. In other words, if you're a developer, you can find it much easier to build on farmland than you used to do. And the National Union of Farmers went mad about it, and rightly so. The Campaign to Protect Rural England went mad about it, but they were ignored by the government. And you know, even our local MP Polly Billington shamefully has accepted this change, even though she's an MP for an area that's been concreted over. It really does make me angry that a Labour government that talked about helping people and making change and developing the country and making it richer, what do? The first thing they do is steal the farmland and give it to the developers. It's shameful.
I feel like I could talk to you for 24 hours about farmland, so I'm really pleased that that's paid, because saving farmland is something I'm really passionate about too. I've worked in the farming industry. It's something really interesting. I'm off to a regenerative farm in a couple of weeks in West Sussex. I'm fanatical about it. So I think one last thing we'll have a chat about is Minster Marshes, because you're running for Minster and the villages, aren't you?
That's right, and so, standing on a programme of saving the farmland and saving Minster Marshes. And I've got to say, anybody who hasn't been to Minster Marshes, you must go.
Yes.
It's an enchanting
And you've been to
place.
Minster Marshes.
I have, yes.
So that's important. That's it.
In the rain and in the sunshine.
Because we've got to keep that in the public eye, and we haven't had much support so far from KCC about it all, which is a real shame. So being elected there really help you get in there and get a voice. And
I mean, for me, Minster Marshes is one of a very, very rare and very scientifically important area of land.
It really is.
With all the diversity of the plants and animals and birds, yet a huge multinational company, National Grid, thinks it's a damn good idea to level that area, destroy all the life forms that are there, and put this huge edifice, which is the size of 20 football pitches and about 100 feet high, on top of it. It really makes my blood run cold. There were alternatives. There still are alternatives.
Yeah, it really is. Yet
it's they're just so powerful.
Yeah.
That the government's going to do whatever they say.
Yeah.
So I'm fearful of what might happen to Minster Marshes, and that's why, if I am elected for the Villages Ward, I will put a lot of my energy in the Save the Minster campaign and do all I can to work with the community to stop. Well, what's a national treasure, really?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's by far a long way. It's unquestionably the best place in Thanet for wildlife.
It is, yes.
And we need green space. It's fundamentally what we need as humans to relax ourselves and engage with, and fresh air.
So true.
It's a right. And of course, we're down Pegwell Bay now, and that's where they want to bring the cable through.
Oh, yes,
so
of course.
This is the most special place and the biggest open space we've got to come to in Thanet, and that's where they want to run rough. Right through their cable.
Right where we sat now.
Yeah, that's it. Cliffsend's gonna, if it goes ahead, Cliffsend will get an absolute hammering. 7 days a week work. Sandwich Road will probably be closed. The businesses will suffer, so they'll need a voice. They'll need a voice.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for modernising our energy supplies. We've got to do it.
Security
to survive.
and renewable energy. Yeah, completely.
Food security and renewable, and I'm all in favour of it.
Yeah.
But there are options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it means spending a bit more to do it without damaging nature, then I'd say that's a bloody good investment for the future, for our kids and our grandkids, rather than just thinking immediately in front of you and your bank account.
Yeah, that's it.
So they need long-term thinking, and what we need is a council, Kent County Council and Thanet District Council, who are going to try their best to stand up to these people.
Brilliant.
Again, I hate to bring her name into it, and anybody would think I'm one of her biggest fans. But Polly Billington, our Labour MP of less than a year, has been in previous situations funded by National Grid and funded by the people who are going to build the converter station, Siemens. And she's also a member of the all-party group of MPs on sustaable energy.
Right.
And who funds that party group? You guessed it, National Grid.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it? Worrying.
How on earth she can be the champion, or tell us she's the champion for Minster Marshes? I mean, how she can do that, I mean, it's brass neck of the extreme. Yeah,
it's very worrying, isn't it? But anyway, well, so great. Thanks ever so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Nick.
It's really good to come out and talk to me about what you're going to do environmental-wise. It's so your farmland and Minster Marshes and making sure the transition happens.
Making sure the transition happens. And one last thing, I will always be honest as a politician, and I will be digging out and naming and shaming where I find dishonesty,
absolutely.
Wherever it might be.
Well done. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers.